Hi everybody, just give me a few minutes to get logged in here. Okay, I'll just give a few minutes for anyone to join, and let me gather my notes. So welcome everybody. I hope you were able to see the title of this video. The title of the video is, we're going to be talking about spiritual abuse today. Just a disclaimer, I also put it in the title. This is not meant for little people's ears, for young audiences. So if you have your kids around, perhaps you might want to revisit and look at this video at a later time when you can be alone or have headphones on. Let me take a sip of water because this video, I'm literally shaking while recording. This video is very dear to me, and also it's something that has been a buildup inside of me that has been coming into my space for a few years now, and I've just been ignoring Spirit's call to talk about this. So we're going to be talking about spiritual abuse today. Not an easy topic, not fun. And it happens all the time. And the reason why I felt called to do this video is because this is something that I am very passionate about, and I want to start bringing to light, to start bringing light to the darkness that exists in this topic, and allow this, hopefully this video, to even touch one person that's been in this situation so that they don't feel alone and they can start their healing process if they haven't already started. This really has come up because with all the quarantine and the COVID stuff, I haven't been doing other things as much, so I've been watching a lot of TV. And I watched Athlete A recently, a few weeks ago, and then I also watched Spotlight the other night, a couple nights ago. And so for those that don't know, Spotlight is a movie about some reporters in Boston that were told, were given the assignment to investigate some priests in the Catholic Church that may be sexually abusing children. And for years, the topic kind of got swept under the rug, and the people that were some of the victims at that time that were now adults in the time that the movie, that the reporters were investigating it, they were meant to feel like he was crazy, or he was losing it, or he was eccentric, or like he wasn't telling the truth. So it kept getting swept under the rug in different ways. And then finally this group of reporters decided to go deep into it. And then they realized that not only is this happening with, the children, which is atrocious and it's crazy, they realized that this was a systemic issue as well. The police, the police station was in on it. They would call the lead people, I don't know the terms of the Catholic Church, and they would, have them come and speak to the family that were reporting the crime, and it was all very under the table. And then the legal system was, doing their clean sweep, and they weren't having documents publicized and doing different things. So this was a systemic issue, right, in Boston. And good morning, Anita. And, you know, the reporters did, you know, wrote an article talking about how this is like ingrained and so a systemic issue, and they just didn't make the article about the perpetrators, right? They made it about like the bigger picture. And athlete A is about the USA women's gymnastics team, and one of the doctors on the payroll, he would sexually violate these female athletes. And an athlete that was anonymous, that they labeled as athlete A, you know, came forward and wanted to, you know, speak against what was happening to her. And the USA Gymnastics Incorporation, they swept it under the rug. And again, a systemic thing, right? A systemic thing where money and power and prestige and whatever else is more important than safety for these children. And I really wanted to do this video because A, I've never spoken about this publicly. It's happened to me. I was spiritually abused and sexually violated by a spiritual leader. And B, as I started going on my journey of healing, I started realizing that this has happened to people that I know in different religions, and this is not something that I feel like anyone's really speaking on, right? Like no one's talking about how widespread, how systemic, and how it happens in spiritual communities, and how it even develops there, right? So I looked up online. First, I want to say, I'm going to share a few stories. These people have given me permission to share their story without using their name. I will also share parts of my story. And for the people that have never, thankfully, experienced this, with a compassionate heart, I understand that it might be difficult for you to understand. It might be difficult for you to understand and listen to these stories and say, like, how can, especially an adult, allow themselves to be in that predicament, right? But I'm going to ask you to be open and listen with a compassionate heart, and perhaps try to hear it from a place of not judgment, but from a place of seeing like all of the elements and all of the different variables combined on how one finds themselves in this space, okay? So with sexual abuse, mental abuse is entangled in there, obviously physical, you know, sexually, that's your physical body, right? And the part that people, I think, forget about is the grooming process. How these people groom and pick their victims, right? And I looked up some grooming aspects written by Daniel Polak. The article is entitled "Understanding Sexual Grooming in Child Abuse Cases." So this article is particularly talking about children, but this applies to adults as well, okay? So aspects of sexual grooming is targeting the victim, securing access to isolating the victim, gaining the victim's trust, controlling and concealing the relationship. The purpose of grooming is to manipulate the person, whether it's the child or the adult, to have this person be the perpetrator, be the one that you trust, the one that you look forward to. And specifically in the spiritual arena, right? We're often taught in different modalities, in different religions, we're often taught like, don't, you don't question God, you don't question the holy and that. And in many traditions, in many religions, the priest or the person, like the priest and different, terms that are used in different religions, the priest is a representation of God on earth, right? So we hold them up in the superior position of they're holier than thou, you know, they're the next best thing to God. You know, we got to believe what they say. I mean, their voice is the voice of God, right? Like this is, and we turn over this power, right, to this other person. And by placing them on a pedestal, by placing them on a higher level than us, right? Because they know better. They're connected to God in a way that we're not, right? And this is so instilled and ingrained. So that just breeds the space to even allow this to even occur, right? Not saying that all religions their intention is to breed the space for this, but I'm saying that separation, that high elevation that we put our spiritual and faith leaders at creates the foundation to even have that separation. Like, oh, I have to worship, I have to give, I have to listen to everything that this person says, right? And that sets that trust and that controlling and concealing relationship, right? That sets the tone of it. Okay. Another something that happened in the spotlight, you know, they have the purposes of grooming is to manipulate the perceptions of other adults around the child, to manipulate the child into becoming a cooperating participant, which reduces the likelihood of a disclosure and increases the likelihood that the child will repeatedly return to the offender, to reduce the likelihood of the child being believed if they disclose, to reduce the likelihood of the abuse being detected. That's why these people groom, right? They want to keep this under wraps. So if we have in the spiritual community with our faith leaders, we have them on a pedestal, right? We're already creating that paradigm, that differential. Then if one of these leaders is abusing sexually and mentally of children and adults, then they're going to seek out certain people to be their victims. In Spotlight, they talked about a lot of the victims of Catholic priests were low income homes where their fathers were absent, or fatherless children, where their mothers were either working so much and, you know, trying to make ends meet because they're a single parent, or, you know, could be focused on other things like jobs and drugs, or, you know, other types of abusive relationships or whatever, just don't have the focus. And they purposely pick and target, these children purposely, right? Because it creates that narrative, it creates that bubble to hopefully keep the bubble where it instills doubt into that child or adult's head, so they don't reveal what's happening to them, right? Because they don't even know, they won't even realize that they're in this crazy cycle, an abusive cycle with this leader, because the leader is grooming them. And so, you know, you get into this cycle of this is happening and this is happening and this keeps happening. And, you know, I've seen people be, you know, judgment, like, how can they allow that to keep happening? Why would that happen, especially with adults? And it's like, it's a cycle. It's, you imagine yourself being put inside of a box, and you think that this box is normal, that this is where you're supposed to live, how you're supposed to live, what you're supposed to receive. And then when we add spirituality and religion to it, like, this is the voice of God, and he's telling me that this is the way to do it, right? Like, this is how it's done. You know, he's holy, or she's holier than thou. Like, of course they know, right? And so I'm just going to trust them. You just keep going on this cycle over and over and over again, where you're just so deep in it that you don't even realize. So I want to share a couple of stories. So first, I'm going to talk about my story without any details. I'm not going to identify the person, because this video is not about identifying or whatever. I don't even want to put any energy on the person. This video is about to spread the awareness of spiritual abuse, so people know that this is a thing, that this is real, that this is happening. And if this happened to you, or this is happening to you, so that you know that you are not alone, that you are not helpless, and that you too will get healing and can be healed. Okay? On my journey of my spiritual and religious, awakening, I encountered a spiritual leader in the religion that I practice, and make a long story short, there was a lot of grooming that went into there. A lot of grooming as far as like, even boosting me up, right? Like, oh, you have all these gifts and you're meant to do all these things, and just like all this grooming that's there, right? That I'm gonna have you close to me. You're gonna be my sidekick. You're gonna be my right-hand man. You are special, and all of this stuff was coming into the space. And fast forward in time, after being around and working with this person for some time, there was a night where he sexually violated me, and then later on, when I confronted this person, he denied it, but not denied it like I didn't do that. Denied it like, oh, God told me, like I needed to do this because I needed to release and give you like my spirituality and give you my elevation so that you can be elevated. And I was just doing God's work and blah, 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 right? And that sent me on a tangent. Like I went through so many emotions, from being angry to being sad, back to being angry to grieving. I mean, I went through all these different stages. And in that process, I cried numerous nights. Why did this happen to me? What am I to learn from this? Like, what the hell? And I was an adult, right? I wasn't even a child. And so there was a lot of feelings of shame and guilt tied in there for me. Okay. How could I be so dumb? How could I have not seen this? I was an adult. Like, how could I not know this? Right. Before then I would have, before that incident, spiritually connected. So I had visions, I do readings and different things like that. Right. So I had what I thought was a strong intuition. And I'm like, how could my intuition have not like realized this? Like, how the hell did I get here? How did this happen to me? How did I allow this to happen to me? And then I went through like, this is my fault, and all these different things, and shame, of being shameful of my body, being shameful of my choices, being shameful of even saying this out loud. I didn't even speak this out loud for at least a year. Right? My own, my romantic partner, my husband didn't even know that this happened to me. My friends, my family, no one knew. And because I was so deep in the shame and the guilt that this was my fault, the guilt that this was my doing, and all this stuff. And it's been a long process to get here to this point where I can even speak about this and not cry. Like, if I couldn't even say the word like violated or like rape or like, I couldn't even say the word. Like, I couldn't even say it. I'd just be like, oh, that thing that happened, that thing that he did, that thing that occurred. Like, I couldn't even say the word. It took me so long to even say it. Hold on. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you had the courage to this day, because it happens more than we think. Exactly. That's the whole point. That's why I'm doing this video, right? Like, this needs to come to light. This needs to be, I mean, I know that this has come in different ways, but like, I think that this is my part of my purpose, part of my journey, to bring this to light, to have this be brought to light out of the darkness. So that was my journey. I have a friend that I won't mention her name, but she has given me permission to speak her story. She's of the Hindu faith, and she had a pundit. So this goes to show, like, that this happens in every arena, in all spiritual modalities, in all religion. Like, this is not just the Catholic Church. This is not just, ATRs. This is happening everywhere, all over the place. Okay, in cults, all kinds of things. So I'm going to make her story short. Her and her cousin, I believe, were having a lot of issues in their life, and they were very close and receiving healing and guidance from this particular pundit. And, and there was a whole grooming process there, right? Because he was working with them very closely, and they're very special, and all this, and building them up to think that, first of all, we're all special, but they're saying specific things to make you feel a certain way, so you entrust them more, okay? And, make a long story short, he ends up telling them, oh, listen, you guys, the reason why things are not working out in your life, or the reason why this is not working, is because you have demons inside you. And then the only way for the demon to be removed, because it's so deep in your soul, it's so deep rooted in your body, that the only way to remove this demon is by having sexual intercourse with someone holier than thou, with someone so spiritual, someone that walks in the light, so that they can remove the demon. And so they get a room, her and the other person, get undressed and go through the motions, and allow this pundit, if we would even want to call him, this man, to penetrate them sexually, right? And they're in the same room together, and they're both experiencing this, because he's having intercourse with one, and then he goes and has intercourse with the other, right? Again, I know, to those that haven't experienced this, that may sound crazy. That may sound like, how the hell? And they were adults. How the hell did they allow this to happen? How, right? But when you're groomed in this way, and you think in this way, and and you're like seeing this person as being holier than you, right? Like being better than you, being more connected to God, you are forfeiting your own power and your own divinity, because you don't even realize, I didn't even realize the power and the divinity that I already had inside me, that I didn't even need to seek to someone outside of me, meaning another human being. I can have that personal relationship and connection with God, the universe, whatever you call it, whatever relates to you, all within me. And it already exists. God is already within me. And I didn't know that at the time. So I was seeking validation and seeking something outside of myself, right? Which is how this person was able to insert himself into my life. And the same thing for my friend's life with the pundit, right? I've heard another story where, a girl goes to a babalao, and which is a priest in the Ifa tradition, for those that don't know, and goes to a babalao and is told that her ex-boyfriend gave her AIDS. And the only way to get rid of or reverse the AIDS is for her to have sex with someone in a certain span of time. And it was a span of time. She couldn't find anybody. And then, of course, boom, here I am. I make myself available as the babalao. I'm going to sacrifice myself to you and do this. And, she has sex with the babalao. Listen, I just want to bring these stories to light and bring these things into the space, as crazy as it sounds, so that if there's anybody out there that has experienced any sexual abuse, you are not alone. There's nothing for you to be shameful of. There's nothing for you to be guilty of. And there is healing available and readily waiting for you. If you don't have anybody in your life that you trust, please reach out to me, contact me. I will support you in the best way that I can. You're not alone. I just want to keep emphasizing, you are not alone. There was many days and nights that I felt that I was alone, scared, shameful, didn't even want to talk about this. and share it with anybody, even those closer to me. But the more and more and more that you're able to heal and gain power over and see the power that you have in learning from this experience, then the more powerful you will feel, and you can get back into creating a life that's divinely inspired for you. Through my process, I asked numerous times, like, why did this happen to me? What the hell, man? Like, this was in like the religious setting. Like, how can my Orishas allow this? How can God allow this? I was angry at the Orishas, angry at God, angry at my spirits, angry at everybody. Like, how did you allow this to happen? And I realized, not overnight, by asking this question, why? Why did I go through this? Why did I experience this? Why did I experience this? What is the purpose behind this experience? Little by little, I started getting my answer. And my answer was to learn how to heal myself in such deep trauma, in such deep pain, in the pain and solitude and loneliness and being scared. Learn how to heal myself so that I may support others that have experienced similar traumas to heal themselves. Because it's possible. I promise you, it is possible to heal yourself. I promise you that there could be a day where you will you be able to say the words of what happened, that where you will be able to stand in a space of being empowered and seeing, in a weird way, this is going to be hard for you to hear at this time maybe, but how this experience was divinely placed in your life for one reason or another. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know that's not easy to hear, but it's so. Every single experience we have is divinely inspired, even the bad ones, right? It's meant to be placed there for a reason, to break us open, to open us up, to heal, to move forward, to expand, to make ourselves grow. You know, there's so many different reasons, right? And everything is individual to the person. But when you get to this other side, it's so worth it, and you will feel so freaking empowered. I promise you. There is another side. There is. There was a time that I couldn't even speak without crying. I'm telling you, it's possible. So again, one more time before I end this. I'm going to pull some cards, some oracle cards. But again, please know, for any victims out there, from anyone that's alone, please reach out to me. Reach out to someone that you trust. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Sherida Sunshine, SHERIDA Sunshine. You can reach out to me also on Instagram at deeplyrooted_inspirations. Also Deeply Rooted Inspirations on YouTube. However, I'm just giving you these mechanisms so you have an access in some capacity to reach out to me. You are not alone. There is healing, light, and love waiting for you. Waiting. It's there. I promise. Yeah, so that's all I have to say about that. I hope this, that this live supports at least one person out there. I hope that this live, supports those who have never experienced this to better understand and not be in a place of judgment, but put on their compassion and see, and maybe they don't understand, or they'll never be able to understand how one is in that position, but at least can empathize and be compassionate towards those who are in that position, and be a supportive space, and an open space for those that are healing from these types of traumas in their life. I want to say a prayer for those that are in the dark that have experienced this trauma. And I pray for them and for their souls to come into the light of God, to come into all energies of high vibration that walk in the light of God, so they can see and receive the healing that they need in their life, so that they can walk in their divinity and see their divinity and be connected to their divinity. Oh, that reminds me, another thing. People may ask, like, well, how can we prevent this in the spiritual community, right? How can we prevent this abuse happening in the spiritual community? This is not to say that you can't have any spiritual or faith leaders or priests that you listen to, and that you listen to their sermons or whatever, however they speak. But the one piece of the puzzle that works for all modalities, all religions, is to realize that you are divine. You are a divine being already out of the factory. You don't need anybody to save you, any human being to save you. You are already whole and complete out the factory, and that you can connect to that divine energy and spirit with yourself, through meditation, through prayer. You know, prayer is asking for, making the request of God, right? Stillness and meditation or listening is the act of being able to listen to God's answers to the prayers that you're asking for. So I implore you all to please work on that, so that you don't ever feel less than, or where you are placed in a position to be sexually violated by anybody, right? When that wholeness and that stillness resides inside of you, you won't have to seek. You won't have to seek elevation outside of yourself from another human being, because they can't give it to you. It resides inside of you. And this goes for any religion, any spiritual practice, right? You have your holy book, you have prayer, you have meditation, you have stillness. You can do this. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to church or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, please, please, please also work on your own spiritual connectedness to the divine within yourself and with God, so that you can find that wholeness that you seek within you. And you don't ever have to put anybody else on a platform or think that they're better than you in any capacity, the way I did. Okay? I'm going to pull some oracle cards. I'm pulling a Work Your Light oracle card for this topic, bringing light to the situation. Two cards that I got. Akasha. Your guidance is divinely guided. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. Your guidance is divinely guided. Let's see what it says in the book. 112, 112, 112. Oh, hey, Frazana. I just saw you. Wave. Okay. Akasha exists in the fifth dimension and the library of souls. All soul contracts, history, gifts, lessons, and more exist here. We each have access to this information of the past, present, and future, and can tap into it at any time. While we have free will, there are also points on the timeline of our lives that are predestined or pre-planned, soul contracts or agreements that were made before incarnating. It could be a company you chose to work for, a relationship you plan to have, or a person you agreed to mentor or help. Whatever it is, know that it is divinely guided and will not bypass you. If you're waiting for a sign to proceed, this card is it. This is your sign for those that want healing, for those that are ready to let go of this anger. This is your sign. If you are waiting for a sign to proceed, this card is it. You are likely living out an important part of your soul's journey, and you are exactly where you need to be. This is a very exciting indeed. It is a time to call in the support of your helpers, both in this physical realm and the spiritual world, to trust the signs coming, to take note of your dreams, to notice any feelings or visions that you receive, for you tapping into the wisdom of the Akasha, and you are being given the go-ahead to proceed. There's a little prayer that comes with this card. It says, I open myself up to receive the wisdom of the Akasha. I'm ready to download any information from my soul records that is in my highest good and the highest good of all right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, Ushi. I love you too. Thank you. Squeeze, hugs, hugs, hugs. Hi, Susie. Sorry, I'm just seeing this. Hi, Kim. Oh, thank you. I'm just now seeing the comments on Facebook. Sorry, guys. I didn't see your comments before. Okay. The other card is Dance with Life. For those, let me see. Dance with Life. Okay. 62. Okay. Dance with life. Do something to change your energy. Life is always moving. If you resist this ever-changing flow, your energy will become stagnant and you will fall out of flow with the universe. The universe has a mysterious, intelligent force, a natural rhythmic beat which governs all of life. One of the best ways to shift your energy, frequency, and vibration is to put on some music and dance along with it. When we dance unrestrained, our spirit takes over, and with each new bop, sway, and kick, we are rocked back into harmony with the rest of life. Get unstuck by doing something that shifts your vibration. Put on some music, dance unrestrained, and fall into the frequency in life. In doing so, your body will begin to learn how to be moved by your intuition, which is connected with the systemic beat. If dancing isn't your thing, then simply do something that you would not usually do to shift the energy. You cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it, and you cannot attract a different experience without changing your energy first. It's time to shift things up and to find a way to dance along with the beat of life. Do something to change your energy. So this is a great, I'm glad that this card came up. Yes, dancing is a healing modality that I have used. Moving my body and, I've put on music, close the curtains, put myself and just dance. Even when I was crying, dance, to move that energy, that pain body that was inside of me, to move that out of my body. Okay, it's a thing. It's a thing and it helps. So if you don't know, if you're one of these people right now and you're feeling lost and don't know what to do, just start there. Put on some music and just allow your body to move however it needs to move the energy through your body. Okay, I'm gonna pull an oracle card, a healing oracle card, Archangel Raphael healing oracle cards. I'm asking Spirit to give me a healing card for those victims of sexual trauma, spiritual abuse, mental abuse, to give us a message for the collective of those that have been in this space, of what healing modality they can use right now to support them just starting on the journey of healing. One more, please, Spirit. One more. One more. Okay, the two cards that came out were Prayer Works. So on this card that says, Prayer Works. Dear God and Archangel Raphael, thank you for hearing and answering my prayer of, and add the details of your prayer. And like I said earlier, sit in silence, sit in stillness, and listen to the God and the divinity's answer to you. Okay? As you release this pain body and this energy that's tapped up. The other one is leave a stressful situation behind. I know that sounds a little crazy considering the topic that we're talking about. It says, Dear Archangel Raphael, thank you for giving me the courage and willingness to take care, good care of myself, including surrounding myself with healthy relationships and positive situations. Yes, now I know why this card came out. Yes, this is important. Okay, it's important that while you're going through this healing journey of sexual trauma, that you surround yourself and set healthy boundaries around yourself with the relationships that you have, and only accept healthy relationships with positivity. It's very important, right? Because you're going to be going through and sifting out and taking out all this darkness that's inside of you, all this anger, all this stuff that you have inside of you. And you're going to be doing it with all these different modalities, whether it's through therapy or whatever. And you want to have people around you that are supportive, that understand that where you're at, communicate with them. Let them know what you're going through. Let them know the healing process that you're on, so that they're aware, okay? So that they can be aware and be mindful when they're supporting you and when they're in your space, and put on that compassion on their sleeve, okay? Very important to set those boundaries. If you don't have anybody in your life that's positive, if you don't have any healthy relationships in your life that's positive, reach out to me. Again, reach out to me, reach out to somebody else that you trust. Reach out to somebody so that you can get positive support on this journey to healing from this type of experience. All right, I'm going to pull one more card and then I'm going to end this live, so I'm not just flooding you guys with my preaching. Okay. Actually, I'm going to pull 2 more cards. Sorry. Listen with the Oracle. Ask spirits of highest vibration, God's light and love to come into this space and give us a message that is important. 1 card, please, Spirit, to give us a message that people need to hear about this situation and healing regarding this type of trauma. A change in the wind is what came out. Let's see. Change in the wind. Okay. Let's see what it says. It's card number 12 for anybody that likes numbers. 1 + 2 is 3. 3 is a number of an ascended masters, so maybe they're here with us. 1 and 2. Hey, Kathy. Okay. A sense that unseen change has been initiated. Preparation for a storm. Awareness that your plans are not firm ground. Feeling a shift. Uncertainty about which direction the wind blows. Again, a sense that unseen change has been initiated. Preparation for the storm. Awareness that your plans are not on. Hello, okay? We bringing this to light as a community is going to instill change. Every single person that talks about this, every single person that brings light into the situation, every single person that owns their power and releases that shame and guilt is going to make a difference with trauma. It's doing it, okay? The protection message here is, hold on. Okay, the Oracle's message, it's human nature to yearn for certainty and resist change, to want the world to remain consistent like a zebra's stripes. Yet nothing in human experience is black and white, nor will anything remain static. The one thing guaranteed is change. Now is the time of transformation as our conditions are temporarily moving out of sync with your desires and expectations. Stay the course. Remember that even storms serve to clear the air, scatter seeds, and nourish the soul for better things ahead. Life is about to get interesting. Anticipate it with curiosity as you wonder what is coming. And on the shifting winds, the unknown is where the magic lies. So this card, I actually read it, I perceived it wrong. Let's say wrong, in a different way, but now I'm feeling a different way. This card is for those victims, okay? This card is to remind all of us that transformation can happen, that even with the biggest storms, that it clears the weeds, right? It serves a purpose. Storms serve a purpose for better things to come. And so even with this too, if you've been sexually violated by a spiritual leader or by somebody else, that there is something here for you, after that storm, that something beautiful is waiting for you on the other end of healing. I know I keep repeating myself, but that's what it is. It's what it is. It's what it is. So actually, yeah, I think I'm done with Oracle cards. So I hope this supports anybody out there. I hope that somehow you receive this message or get this message. Know that you're not alone. I pray that you release all shame and guilt that surrounds this trauma. I hope you release the pain body that's surrounding this trauma. I hope that you are able, I pray that you are able to see the blessing and the healing that comes from this. I just pray for your soul. I pray for all the souls out there that have experienced this. And I pray for all those loved ones surrounding people that have experienced this, for their souls to be supportive of the person that experienced the trauma. Okay? Thanks for joining. I love you guys. I wish you guys peace, love, authenticity, and freedom today. And love you guys. Bye.